This is Chris Moses with Gospel Progressions University, and today I'm going to show you an approach how to take a very simple chord progression that you can easily do and make it sound really beautiful and something that you can actually use in a worship service. So let's get into it. All right, this is in the key of C major. All right. Something like that, right? So the key of C major. So we're going to play this, and I'm going to show you what the chord progressions are. I'm going to break it down by melody. We're going to look at the harmony, and we're going to look at exactly what I'm doing versus what people tend to typically do in, something like this. Now, if you haven't yet, go check out my guide. It's over at gospelprogressionsuniversity.com. You want to download that. It's chock full of information that will help you. Doesn't matter what level that you're at. You can come right back here and tell me how much you love it or not. Either way, it's free, and it's over at gospelprogressionsuniversity.com. I'll leave the link in the description. So this melody here is very simple. Whenever we approach a melody or a song, anything that we're trying to learn for the first time, the first thing we want to do is, in fact, look at the melody of the piece that we're learning. So that's the simplest thing. So it would basically be the, E, G, C, all right? And then we have G, A, B, C, and then D, D, B, G. Again, it's E, G, C, and then, or G, A, B, C. Right? That's basically what it is. So now that we have the melody, all right, we understand what that structure is, we can start looking at chords that we can put behind it. Okay? So if we have this, and if you know your triads, automatically you'll say, well, this is a C major triad. E, or the 3, the 5, and the 1. All right, but we're starting from the 3, 5, and 1, the 3 first. So we can do a C chord. We can do, all right. But we want to move on because we're in a downbeat. Meaning, if the beat is 1, 2, and we do 1, 2, we want to move to the next sequence of chords. So I already gave it away here. We can actually do the, all right, an F chord, an F major chord. Okay, and then we have this all the way up here. All right, and we're playing A minor chord right now, E, A, C, because the C is on top, the melody, right? And then we hit the D, all right. And then we do, and then we can go back to a 5 chord with a G here. So basically, the chord progression would be a 1, C, then a 4 chord, F, a 5 chord, a 6 chord, A, and then a 5 chord G. Now, when people are playing, either just starting out on playing keys, or they learn like jazz and learn how to play from maybe a jazz keyboard player, or just in any instructional book, what people tend to see is the, say, C, for example, C, E, G, B, right? So the triads are stacked. You'll have C, E, G, B, D, all right? And then you'll have something like this that will just go on until you get right back to C again, all right? And what they will tend to do, a novice or a beginner, is play the chords just in the way with no inversion. You'll have this, right? Say the first chord will be C, okay? And then you have the fourth chord, right? And then the 7th chord, or the 6th chord, all right? Now, there's a couple of things that's going on. We are going from 1 to 4, 6, and 5. We have our melody, right? So, but when we play with chords and we stack them with what we know, we get an uglier sound. What I mean is that, for example, when we get to the 1, 4, 6, 5 chord, we tend to do this and play this 7 in there, and it really doesn't have a nice pull for what we're trying to do to the 1. It goes to the 1 well because of the tritone B and F, right? It's a dominant chord. This is a 5 chord, and it would go and resolve to da na da da na, and this would go here. So this would sound like, and it would resolve, but it's the chords are so dominant, they pull to each other so much so that they give a sense of finality, and there's nothing being left in the air or suspended. Smooth transition, suspended chords. So your suspensions or suspended chords are what keeps the sound, well, suspended. Okay, and I may have spoken about this in another video, and if I actually have, I'll leave that video up on the right side of the screen now, so you can check on that on suspended chords. But the beautiful thing about a melody, it can be built up off of what you already know. So we know them, or a chord progression. We know the melody, right? And the melody is in its basic form. And so we know the first chord is going to be a C chord, right? So we will have the C chord, all right? All right. 6th chord, 5 chord. Now, we have a melody, we have our chord progression, but how do we make it sound nicer and not so much of this sound? What we're doing, we're adding chords or notes that are suspended. And for example, I do talk about it in that video, but it bears going over again. We have a suspended chord because the chord is neither a 3 chord, or not a 3 chord so much. It doesn't either play the 3 in either direction, meaning this: if we have a C chord, right? The suspended chord is either going to be a C, F, G, where it wants to go down and resolve here, but you're not letting it go yet. You're kind of keeping it suspended or just kind of hanging in midair to want to resolve down, or the suspended second. All right, you might see on chord charts it may be like an add second or a sus2 or something like that, but we have the second note, which is the D away from C, the C chord, right? Da wants to resolve up to E, F to E, right? So now what we can do is use that to our advantage when we're playing these chords, and almost all the chords that we played here are going to be, so I played it, they're suspended. All right, so for example, now we have our first chord, right? So we have the melody on top. Remember, the melody's E, G, B. Oh, I'm sorry, E, G, C. I'm thinking ahead of myself. So first chord is a C suspended second. So sus chord again, and then we can do that or this here. So, right, we have the second chord, first chord. Second chord is G, C, D, G. We have that suspended sound. Then we go here. You hear the difference in the sound now versus this? So very different sound we have. So that leads me to my next thing. We have our melody, we have our chord progression. Now we have our inner voicing. The suspended sound that you have here is your inner voicing. And inner voicing is pretty much anything that is played on the inside of your voices. The voices, your voice leading, all has to do with how you play your chords, which position. For example, this chord is pretty much the same chord as this chord, but they're just voiced differently because the positions are inverted. So it's a different type of what we call voicing. And your inner voicing are the harmonies that are inside. So for example, this here, this inner voicing between the G up top and the C in the bottom is your C, G, C, D, and E and how they relate to the overall harmony that supports the melody. So we have this suspended inner voicing, right? You like that so much because it sounds very, very, very close together. And I'm playing it diatonically, meaning I'm not, doing anything funky and, going outside the key or nothing like that. Playing it very simple, but something like this can make your chord sound nice, but always keep your melody on top. The reason is you want to have a harmonic structure under it for it to make sense. Again, you can play that same chord progression, the 1, the 4 chord, 5 chord, or the 6 chord, and the 5 chord, and back to the 1 chord again. And I hear this a lot. And when people play, that are novices, this is what they tend to do. They're stuck with what somebody showed them between the 1, 3, 5, and 7. But there are so many other things that you can do and actually take away. Because typically, even in gospel, you're going to have that tritone. But we don't need that F because we're playing either this chord here, or we're going to play, if we play a G chord, a 5 chord, we're going to play this here. So again, we have this here, right? All right, you have your suspension, and then this chord here. So it's the same thing with our F and C. I like to do this because this power chord sounds really nice. There's no in between. I can't do this down here because to me it sounds too muddy, especially when I play this. I like to just kind of keep it open, or you can just play this. All right, and now we get to the next part. So we have this C, G, C, D, E. All right, and then G, C, D, G, F, C, and then F, G, A, C. And then now we have this. So now, what can we do with that? Okay, the kind of melody or the harmony that I did with that, I know I'm going to land on the 6th chord for the, all right, because that's the sequence. We have the 1, 4, 6 right now, and then we go to 5. So it's going to be, something like that. I could do that, but I won't typically play inner voices with those. I could do this, all right, and then do G to C, right? Just with my right hand. Again, could do this. G, A minor, and A minor inverted, C, E, A. This would be A minor in root position. This is it with the first inversion, so, all right. G, C, if I wanted to. But what I did, I left out all that stuff on the inside, and I just went B to G, C to A, D, G, and then landed on E, C. So on my left hand, I just went, as I got to the E and the C, I went the A, E, and the G. So that gives it a nice open sound. So again, left hand, and you want to practice your left hand. You want to practice your left hand chords. It's important to get that down because it gives you a lot of flexibility when it comes to your harmonies and what you're trying to do with your right hand. This, to me, I think of jazz players when jazz piano players when they play their chords. A lot of times they'll just build their chords up on their left hand, and play a melody on the right hand. Well, this is sort of like what you're doing. But you're just playing the chord. Instead of playing the A, C, E, you're playing the A, which is the root, the 5, and then the flat 7, which is G, giving you, or minor 7, you can say, or giving you the A minor 7 when you do. And also when I'm playing it, I'm not playing, so stiff. Loosen up, and you kind of arpeggiate it almost like a. All right. So it gives it that nice sound, all right? So we have that now, and now we're going to head to our G chord. We play the 5 for the G chord, which is D. All right, and this is what we have again here. The entire time, we're going right back to suspended chords, all right? So my left hand, practice that again. Your left hand is going to be your ring finger is G, middle finger is E, index finger is B, and thumb finger, yeah, because thumb finger, no one speaks like that. Your thumb is on D, All right, so, okay. And I'll show you what I just did in my right hand. That's the little gospel flair that we get, right? So we have this, so, and as we come down, we have the ring finger hit the D, and the index finger bounce from the B flat up to the B. So as you do that, you keep your ring finger in your right hand there on D. So it's slide down, kind of cheat like you're wiping your almost I wanted to say wiping your booger on the keyboard, but that's just nasty. So anyway, you're here, right? So wipe from B flat to B, right? All right, B flat, A, and G. Okay. Again, left hand, A, E, G. All right. And then D, octave, and then go down here. You come in from your A, E, G, and then you're gonna close your hand together. Very simple, like a, almost like you're grabbing a bubble. Okay. All right. You want to go from here, bubble, spread it out, small bubble, and you're gonna land on that. As you land, you're gonna land on the B flat, but you don't want to keep it there because that don't sound pretty. But it does sound nice when you go into resolve it to the B as a passing tone. So you have, all right. All right. So that's basically the whole thing. So to wrap this up, you want to have your melody. You want to pay attention to what your melody is. It's very important because you're going to look at what supports it. Have your melody, get that in your right hand. All right. More than likely, it's going to be in your right hand. And then you look at your harmonic structure as far as what is going to go with it. All right. Or you can look at your chord progression, which would be, in this case, the 1 chord, the 4 chord, the 6 chord, and the 5 chord. And then you play your beats, your rhythm, respective to wherever the melody lands. And then you pay attention to your inner voicings. You always don't have to have the 5 chord as a 7 chord all the time. You can play it as a sus chord, and it sounds very nice, you know, to resolve. I hope that helps you, and if it has or it hasn't, either way, leave a comment in the comment section. I'd love to hear from you. God bless you, and don't forget to check out gospelprogressionsuniversity.com/Gospel Keys Pro. It's my free guide. It's called What Do Pro Musicians Know That You Don't? I'll leave the link in the description. I will see you in the next video.